Hello dear students, I hope all of you are fine. Welcome to your chemistry class. I hope you have watched the first lecture of this chapter 3, Elements, Compounds and Mixtures. Now we will be starting where we have left. So our next topic is important characteristics of a compound. First, you should remember some important characteristics of a compound. First one is a compound can be split into its constituent elements only by a chemical means and not by a physical means like filtration, sublimation and distillation. So they are telling us if we want to split a compound into its constituent elements means the elements which have combined to form that compound. Alright. So they are saying if we want to split them, it can only be by chemical means and not by physical means. For example, water cannot be split into hydrogen and oxygen by any of the physical means mentioned above, but it can be split by a chemical means like electrolysis. Hydrogen can also be obtained from water by the chemical action of an active metal like sodium on water. Sodium plus water gives you sodium hydroxide plus hydrogen. Similarly, hydrogen can be obtained from an acid like hydrochloric or sulfuric acid by the action of a metal like magnesium, zinc or iron on the acid. They have given the chemical reactions below. So they are saying that all of these compounds which are formed, they can only be split by chemical means. We cannot split them by physical means. So you should see these examples and go through them. Our second property is the properties of a compound are entirely different from those of the constituent elements. For example, hydrogen, a combustible gas, reacts with oxygen, a supporter of combustion, to form water, which is neither combustible nor a supporter of combustion. They are saying that a compound, we have a compound, right? It is formed by few elements. So they are saying that the properties of the elements will not be the same as that of the compound. For example, hydrogen, it is a combustible gas. Oxygen, it supports combustion. But the compound they are forming, which is water, it is neither combustible nor a supporter of combustion. So, they are having different properties. You can also compare the properties of carbon dioxide with those of its constituent elements, carbon and oxygen. Same is the case with carbon dioxide. Carbon and oxygen have different properties and carbon dioxide will be having different properties. So they have given us one more example. Again, the bright yellow compound mercurous iodide is a product of two constituent elements, mercury and iodine. You can see the right side image is attached over here. They have shown mercury, iodine, and it is forming a product which is a bright yellow colored compound which is mercurous iodide. They are of different colors and the product formed is having a very different color, right? They are saying mercury is a silver white liquid metal and iodine a violet black solid. So, but the compound they are forming is bright yellow in color. So I hope that this property of compound is clear to you. So we will now go to the third property. Elements combine in a fixed proportion of atoms to form a compound. For example, two atoms of hydrogen combine with one atom of oxygen to form one molecule of water. And the atomic ratio of hydrogen to oxygen in any sample of water will be 2:1. Thus, 10 billion hydrogen atoms will require 5 billion oxygen atoms to form 5 billion molecules of water. So what it is trying to say is that whatever compound is formed, the elements which are leading to the formation of that compound, they will combine in a fixed proportion. If two atoms of hydrogen are attaching with one atom of oxygen, only then water will be formed. If there are any other ratio is there, so the compound will not be formed. They have given that this, if we have 10 billion hydrogen atoms, it will require 5 billion oxygen atoms to form 5 billion molecules. No other ratio will lead to the formation of the same compound. The atomic ratios of elements in some compounds are given in table 3.1, from which you can easily guess the formulae of the compounds. So here Compound is given. Which compound is formed? First is water. It has elements hydrogen and oxygen in the ratio 2:1. So hydrogen is having 2 atoms and oxygen is having 1 atom. Carbon dioxide, it is having elements carbon and oxygen in the ratio 1:2. So its formula is CO2. Same is the case with all other compounds. Go through this table properly, because this time the questions will be from within the chapter also. So please go through it. Our fourth property is a compound contains the constituent elements in a fixed proportion of mass. For example, by mass, water contains 1 part of hydrogen and 8 parts of oxygen. You should remember this is by mass. So the mass ratio of H2O in water is 1:8. Can you guess how many grams of water will be formed by 1 gram of hydrogen and 8 gram of oxygen? Let's see. The law of conservation of mass gives you the answer. It is 9 gram. We have studied now that mass can neither be created nor be destroyed, right? So the masses that we are having of hydrogen and oxygen, it will lead to the formation of the compound which will be having the mass of both of them, the combined mass. So it is 9 gram, 1 gram plus 8 gram, as matter is neither created nor destroyed. Also, the mass ratio of C and O in CO2 is 3:8. This suggests that every 11 gram, that is 3 gram plus 8 gram of carbon dioxide, will contain 3 gram of carbon and 8 gram of oxygen. This is proportion of mass. You will learn in higher classes how to calculate the mass ratios of elements in a compound. This is just for your reference now. Just go through the all 4 properties of compounds and get them clear in your mind. Our next topic is mixture. Elements and compounds are pure substances, but rarely are they found in the pure state in nature. They are generally mixed with other elements, compounds, or both. For example, air contains the elements nitrogen, oxygen, and the noble gases mainly argon, and the compounds carbon dioxide and water. And natural water contains dissolved air and some salts, chloride, sulfate, hydrogen carbonates of metals like magnesium and calcium dissolved in it. Similarly, seawater contains so many dissolved substances that it is unfit for industrial, agricultural, or domestic purposes. Thus, these substances are impure and are called mixtures. The different pure substances which a mixture is made up of are called components of the mixture. These components can be separated by simple physical means. Therefore, firstly see the definition they have given. A mixture is a substance which can be split into 2 or more pure substances by a physical means such as filtration, sublimation, and distillation. So, let's understand what is mixture. So they are telling us that mixtures are impure substances. So if we have to get the pure substance now, then we have to split these mixtures into the different components into the pure substances by physical means like filtration, sublimation, and distillation. Because every pure substance does not exist in that state in nature. We have to extract that pure substance, and for that we have to split it into different components by physical means, or like we have seen in compounds by chemical means. Alright. So let's see the examples of mixtures. Most substances we come across in nature are mixtures. Human beings have also made many useful mixtures. Some examples are given below. Firstly, air is the most commonly found mixture in nature. We have seen this example in the previous slide also, right? It contains nitrogen, oxygen, noble gases, carbon dioxide, and moisture. We can separate the components by the physical means mentioned above. It is just the repetition of the previous slide. Second point is natural water is a mixture containing water, dissolved air, and some salts which can be separated by physical means. That the natural water, it is also a mixture which contains water, dissolved air, and some salts are also there which can be separated by physical means. Third is food stuff. Example, rice, wheat, pulses, vegetables, fruits, milk, all of these are mixtures. They contain substances like starch, proteins, vitamins, salts, sugars, and water in different proportion. We all know that when we are told to eat these, we are told that you will have vitamins, you will get proteins. So we are taking all of this because we know that we will get these particular things from there. So these are also mixtures. Fourth is medicines. Medicines are mixtures containing some active ingredients in minute quantities, generally in milligrams, mixed with some other substances. The purpose of adding some other substances is to lessen the harshness of the chemical activity of the active ingredients. At the same time, the bulk increases and it becomes easier to dispense the medicine. So the basic thing that we should understand from this is medicines are also mixtures. Different components combine to form that particular medicine, right? So that's why we are also going to say that medicines are mixtures, and the purpose of adding some other substances is to lessen the harshness of the chemical activity of the active ingredients, the main ingredients of it, right, which are going to affect the disease for which we are taking the medicine, right? So that's why a few other components are added so that the main harshness is not there. Fifth point is alloys are very common examples of mixtures. It has been found that a metal, when alloyed with other metals or non-metals, is generally more useful than the original metal. For example, steel containing iron, carbon and manganese, or stainless steel containing iron, chromium and nickel is more useful than iron, and so are brass containing copper and zinc, and bronze containing copper and tin, more useful than copper. Also, gold is generally mixed with silver and copper. The alloy is tougher. So we, the humans, are also making alloys. These are also mixtures. We are making alloys by combining metals and non-metals, because the metals or non-metals may be in the state which they are existing is not that strong, and we need a strong product. So we are combining them in a particular proportion so that we can get an alloy which is more stronger than the original metal or non-metal. Sixth point is industrial materials like cement and glass are mixtures of silicates of metals. Cement is a mixture of calcium silicate and aluminium silicate, and glass that of sodium silicate, potassium silicate and lead silicate. So they are telling us industrial materials like cement, glass, these are also mixtures. Seventh, all minerals are mixtures. So you can see in this image common types of alloys and the metals or non-metals which are combining to form that particular alloy. Students, we will continue from here in the next video.